under human rights, there is a clause that allows you to stay in the UK forever.
Which visa category causes the most drama?
That would be...
Hi everyone, my name is Carol Shiko and my YouTube channel is Shiko Majuu, and it's all about bringing you stories from the diaspora on different topics. And today I have a very important guest with me who is going to help demystify the whole process of coming and living in the UK legally. And so we have the expert on that, and he's going to introduce himself. Karibu sana, Wakili.
Thank you very much. Yes, as you said, I'm Wakili. So I'm a solicitor here in the UK.
Yes.
I'm also an advocate of the High Court in Kenya, but I practice here in the UK, where I've been doing this the last almost 15 years now. We have a law firm, Cross Border Legal Solicitors, and we are based in Leicester, but we have clients from all over the world. So we deal with only immigration and human rights cases. So I got into this because I specialized in human rights in my master's when I came to the UK for further studies. And here we are.
It is a serious issue, but we're going to try and make it informative and also fun, and also in a way that, you know, the audience is also going to understand. And so I'm going to start putting you on the firing line. Okay. Are you ready?
Go for it.
So my first question to you would be, if immigration rules were a person, what kind of personality would they have?
I think this would be a person who is in Madare, in being sectioned under mental health, because we say he has bipolar at the very least. Okay. Because the immigration rules keeps on changing, and it's hot and it's cold. It's very Goldilocks, so to speak, and it keeps on changing with the government. It's always immigration is always a pertinent issue in the British government. Whenever there's election, so they open up, they close. And that's why I think it would be somebody with bipolar.
Okay. So, what's the funniest immigration myth you've ever had?
I think the funniest immigration myth, and I think this comes maybe perhaps from the background of how systems work in where I come from. I'm from Kenya. Is that if you know the right person, you get a visa. I've heard people who have paid money to agents or people who have pretended to be lawyers with the promise that, oh, I know somebody on the inside, we'll fix you, we'll give you papers. But actually, it's a myth. It's in the UK, the Home Office who deals with the immigration, they don't do kitu kidogo. They don't do corruption like we may hear of other countries. So you have to follow the system. You cannot bribe your way out of the system. Yeah, we trust on due process. Okay. So, yes.
So what's one question you're asked so often you could answer it in your sleep?
Can I invite my uncle to come and stay here?
Okay.
So people kind of assume a lot of the time, and I think I've seen this a lot with people from our African continent or also Asia, where they assume because now they are here in the UK or their relatives are here in the UK, it should be very straightforward for them to come and join them. But no, it's not the truth. Even me, myself, being a solicitor, I can't simply invite my sister to come and stay. No, they can come and visit, but the Home Office will look at their circumstances there and make sure that they're going to go back home. So them having somebody who is in the UK who is a British citizen does not necessarily give you the same advantage as, you know, for example, if you are a child under 18, you can then bring that child to the UK, or your spouse, but not your uncle or your cousin. So yeah, stop sending those phone calls asking me to invite you, because it's not going to work.
So myth or fact? If I marry a British citizen, I automatically get a passport.
It's a myth.
It's a
big
myth.
myth.
Okay.
You may eventually get a British passport, but it's a long journey that you're going to have. First of all, you have to apply for a visa to come to the UK. That visa will be given for 2.5 years. You will need to extend until you finish 5 years currently to get indefinite leave to remain, then apply for British nationality. So you are at least 3 applications away from being able to get a British passport. So it's not automatic by any means and sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, myth or fact? Using an immigration solicitor like yourself guarantees approval?
No, it's a myth. It doesn't necessarily mean that using an immigration solicitor guarantees you approval. It does significantly improve your chances of getting the visa, getting the visa right. As you can imagine, the visa rules here are very complicated and it can be a headache. So having an expert overlook your stuff, then it helps a lot. It's the same way as when you're building a house, you get a structural engineer. You could just do your own thing, but the risk of the house falling down, then it becomes high. So by getting a structural engineer who's well qualified to look at it, it doesn't guarantee that the building is not going to fall, but it minimizes the chances that it's going to fall. So it's the same with the solicitor, especially getting a well-qualified solicitor means that they know the process and they can help you reduce the chances of making errors which would lead to your application being refused.
Okay. So, myth or fact? You can stay in the UK forever if you've lived here long enough.
It's a myth and it's a fact. It depends. As lawyers, we like saying, especially in Kenya, we like saying, the law is very clear. And then we go on and explain for 1 hour. So it's not very clear. So if you've been in the UK for long enough, under human rights, there is a clause that allows you to apply to stay in the UK forever. But there's different categories. For example, if you've been here in the UK lawfully for a continuous period of 10 years, then you can apply for what's called indefinite leave to remain, which allows you to stay. But if you came here and you say, for example, you become an overstayer, you are illegally here, you would have to wait until you finished 20 years in the UK currently to apply for a visa, which will allow you to stay here lawfully. It's only after you've stayed here lawfully for another 10 years that you would qualify to apply for visa to stay here under indefinite leave to remain. So yes, it's true that you may be able to, but it's a long process.
Oh, wow. Okay. If someone's visa expires tomorrow and they've just realized today, what's your first piece of advice?
It depends. It depends with your religious inclination. I think the first thing I would say, you need to pray because things are just about to get messy. You must make sure that you may put in the application. So the next advice, first things, pray. Second, get hold of a good solicitor because you need to really act fast. You must submit the application before midnight of the day that was expiring. So you need to apply for a new visa or leave the country immediately, because if you become an overstayer, there's a raft of things which will make your life really difficult, not just now but also down the line. So act fast, put in the application as soon as you can. Is
it a common thing?
It's more common than you would expect. Okay. Clients often get busy with life and they forget the exact date when their visa is expiring. And especially now that we have e-visas, so people don't have any documents other than the email that you receive saying your visa has been approved, which is where they put in. Now, you have to log in online to see when the visa is expiring if you don't have that original email. So some people forget, and that's why I say diarize it. It's the most important date in your life, so to speak. So diarize it, make sure you put in the application. You're allowed to put in an application up to 28 days before the visa expires. Okay. So make sure that you have that date in mind and you don't wait until the last minute.
If you could give every migrant one piece of advice before they submit an application, what would it be?
Be sure. Really, be sure. I think one of the things I do advise people is it's not about just filling in the application form. The forms are very easy to fill to anyone who perhaps has got a reasonable sense of literacy. Yeah. But the form is just one piece of the puzzle. Yeah. So it doesn't give you all the information, and even the checklist that it generates is very generic. It doesn't necessarily apply to your case. So it may be a good idea just to speak to an expert, check that you've done the right thing. Otherwise, it costs you money. It could cause delays, which could have devastating effects into your journey here as a migrant. So check and counter check, and if possible, get a solicitor to check your documents before you submit it.
Okay. So what document do people forget that later comes back to haunt them?
I think one of the things is people do forget a lot of the times is to do with the right bank statements or putting in the right information to support the application. Now, the application, as I say, it uses a generic format for all applications, and it kind of auto-generates the list of documents that you need to upload. It gives you the mandatory documents you need to upload. However, that's not necessarily all the documents that are essential to your case. So what happens a lot of the time, especially if you have not used a solicitor, you go and only submit the mandatory document, which would be perhaps your passport. And then you find an email from the Home Office saying, oh, you didn't send these documents. You forgot to put in, for example, the birth certificate of the child, and you're putting an application for child visa. So that's obvious, you need to put it in. Now, it's not the end of the world if you miss to put in their documents. However, the Home Office normally sends an email. If there's a document which was meant to be there and they think was meant to be there, they could ask you for that for the documents. But if there's no indication that you are intending to put in those documents and then you forgot, they'll just refuse the application. So it's important to, first of all, make sure that you've checked that you've uploaded all the documents that are necessary to your case, and make sure that you check your emails often, especially after you've put in the application, because you may get an email goes to junk mail and they're asking for the documents to be sent to them within 10 working days. And if you miss that, the Home Office will just simply refuse the application.
Wow, okay. So, tea or coffee while completing immigration forms?
Immigration forms can be complicated.
Yeah.
So I guess coffee really. Because you may be there for a while and you need to be sober and alert to correlate all the documents. So yeah, coffee.
Definitely coffee.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the most confusing visa?
I guess the most confusing visa tends to be under human rights. So when you put in an application, what a lot of people call FLR, further leave to remain, and outside the rules is where somebody is not meeting the normal rules within the Home Office guidance, and they need to apply for visa outside the rules on the basis of exceptional circumstances, or on the basis, for example, they are here as an overstayer and they need to apply for a visa to regularize the stay. They tend to be more complicated because the form doesn't really give you enough space or ask you the right questions for you to put across your human rights case. So you need to accompany that with a cover letter, comparing and going through different procedures, putting in submission to the Home Office for them to consider. So those tend to be quite complicated, and it's advisable that you speak to a solicitor before you do one. Okay.
So one word to describe UK immigration rules.
It's complicated.
Okay.
I think it's one of the most complex areas of immigration rules. I've looked at other countries, including Australia, Canada, and Sweden. I think the problem with immigration rules is that it changes so often, and it's very expensive. And mistakes can have devastating consequences in the immigrant journey. You can get yourself very easily banned for something which, even if you didn't do, you didn't know. For example, you've gone to an agent who has put in something. For example, they have failed in to mention that you had previously been refused a visa in another country. That by itself is enough for them to ban you for 10 years for deception.
Wow.
So it's complicated.
Okay. DIY application or solicitor?
Well, obviously I would say solicitor because I'm a solicitor. But aside from that, I think it's common sense. Really, if you have a leak in your sink, you can get a plumber and they can come and sort it out for maybe 50 quid to come and sort it out. Or you can just roll up your sleeves and tackle it. And then if you cause a leak, you can pay thousands. So it's the same thing with the solicitor. I think some applications you definitely need a solicitor, especially family visas, human rights visas. Anyone who has been refused a visa before, or anyone who doesn't meet one or two requirements, it's advisable you definitely need to have a solicitor. Other people may use a solicitor. It's just about that peace of mind, making sure that if you're going to be spending thousands of pounds, you better make sure that it's going to be going through. Because some people just want that reassurance that an expert is looking at it and then survey it. The same way as you get a quality surveyor would come and survey your house when you're building, because you want that extra guarantee or that extra assurance that what you're doing is the right thing. So I'll say solicitor, especially for complex cases. And other cases, I would recommend to solicitors as well, just to make sure that it goes through without delays.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And so what's your favorite success story?
One of the main success stories that we've had there was a lady who was Italian, and they were featured on BBC. It's a local community, has been here for over 40 years, and they were in their mid-70s, and they were facing deportation from the Home Office because they had missed to apply for a visa after Brexit, and we managed to get that case sorted, and they were given a visa to stay here. And this was really important, especially for the community where she had been living for over 40 years with, raised her family. So yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, I did get to watch that. It's on your channel also.
Yes.
Yeah, the BBC interview. So what's the most underrated immigration route?
I think one of the most underrated immigration routes perhaps would be the 7-year route for children, which allows you to apply for a visa on the basis that your child has been in the UK for a continuous period of 7 years.
Okay.
And this allows parents to also regularize the stay. And that applies whether the child was born here or born abroad. So a lot of people assume that the child must have been born here, but actually the child could be born abroad and lived here for 7 years, they'll still qualify.
So which visa category causes the most drama?
That would be family visas. Most family visas, especially where you have a poor immigration history. Say, for example, it's been refused visa before, or they don't have legal stay in the UK at some point. That causes a lot of dramas. Of course, there are other areas like asylum, which we don't deal with. But say, for example, that asylum person has been refused asylum, and then in the meantime, they found a British citizen, and they're trying to get married. That can cause a lot of issues because the Home Office may think that it's a marriage of convenience, which may mean that perhaps they have detained, or perhaps the Home Office intervene before they get married because they think it's a sham marriage. They may call them for interviews. Any case where there's been an overstay scenario, then it can cause a bit of drama. There's potential for complications.
Okay. So, what's the closest you've come to wanting to put "please read the guidance" on a billboard?
I think it's people who assume that because they're seeing a British citizen, they have started dating, especially people with the onset of online dating and international dating. So people meet, they've been talking on video, and they assume now that they have met virtually, now they need to meet in person. And they assume it's because they're in a relationship with a British citizen who's covering everything in terms of financially. It's very easy for them to travel to the UK and meet in person, which makes sense. But if you come from certain parts of the world, it's going to be very difficult for you to be given a visitor visa to come and meet a stranger who you have started dating online, because they may suspect that you're not going to be going back to your home country. And therefore, it may be easier for him to come and visit you there, or her to come and visit you there, than you trying to apply for a visa and trying to convince the Home Office that you're going to be going back home to, say, for example, Tanzania. Because they then think, they look at your prospect for work there and say, you are high risk of overstaying your visa when you come.
Okay. So, what's the happiest phone call you've ever made to a client?
The happiest phone call is always when you kind of call in clients who have been here for a long time and they have almost lost hope. Like I had a client who has been in the UK since 1981, and they are married. They've been married now for over 20 years to the wife who's British. They have children who are here, who are actually 28 and 27, but they never really applied for documentation. And it's only when the daughter was getting married in the Caribbean and wanted to attend that the guy realized, well, hang on, I do need to regularize my stay. And it was very complicated because he didn't have much faith in the system, whether he was going to be allowed to stay. And we did manage to get that visa granted, and he managed to attend the wedding for the daughter. So that was quite something, because the guy, when I called him, he actually didn't believe it. He just broke down in tears, and he was like, I can't believe it. He passed the phone to the wife. I was like, yeah, it's been granted. I'm like, look at your email, it's actually been granted. So it's always good to have such phone calls.
Okay. So what's the most expensive immigration mistake you've ever seen someone make?
The biggest mistake tends to be the most expensive as well. Tends to be when you use unscrupulous agents or advisors, where they convince you that they have insider people who work for the Home Office, or where they will try and promise you the world, and you end up paying quite a lot of money I've seen this a lot in West Africa, where they take your documents, they don't give you much information about what applications they've made, but what then happens is they tend to use fake documents. So when they use, say for example, a fake bank statement for you to come and visit, that fake document, then the Home Office will click on it because this agent has made the application for other people.
Wow.
However, when they make the application, they're making it on your own behalf. So when it's the Home Office looks at the document, they say you have made an application with the false documents, they will then ban you for 10 years from coming to stay in the UK or visiting the UK, which will have an implication in all other Western countries because this information is sent to other Western countries.
Wow. Okay.
If the deal is too good, think twice.
Oh, okay. Yes. So which phrase makes immigration solicitors want to hide under the desk? 1, I thought. 2, my friend told me. 3, TikTok said.
Oh, I think it's all 3 really. Because I think there's a lot of people there's a lot of assumptions. You know, for example, you find somebody who called me on a Friday, just as a by the way, finding out, oh, you got married in Vegas with my British wife, and now coming on Monday, I just want to check what document do I need to carry with them. And I'm like, have you got a passport? Have you got a visa? He says, no, I don't need a visa. I'm American. And I'm like, no, you don't need a visa really if you're coming to visit. But if you're coming to stay here, you need to be applied for a spouse's visa and you need to qualify for it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of assumptions. Again, there's also TikTok. TikTok is good, but also need to look at who is the person that giving this advice. So immigration is a regulated area of law. So you cannot charge to give immigration advice if you're not regulated by the Office of Immigration or by the Law Society. So like our law firm, we are regulated by the Law Society, which means we are also indemnified for if you make any mistake, there is indemnity cover up to 3 million. So if things go wrong, you know who to call, and because you're regulated. But if you go and get somebody who's just basically become TikTok expert of immigration law and they are promising one thing, it can go very, very wrong.
Okay, okay. So what makes you immediately think this application is going to be interesting?
I think when I look at the immigration history, so a lot of the time I like cases which are different, like where there's been complication, where the clients have made an application and there's been obvious errors in either by the client or by the Home Office. Any case where there's been, murky immigration history is always a little bit interesting, and I like those kind of cases because you can make the most impact in people's life.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah. So what's the one document people swear they submitted but somehow never did?
I guess one of the things which people swear they may have submitted may be bank statements, especially bank statements of all the documents. Now, if you submit the application on your own, there is no way of the Home Office to know that you had put in an application and you intended to send, say, for example, a bank statement. So say, for example, you need to show 6 months bank statements. You provided bank statement for January to February. The Home Office will ask for the other documents. But if you don't submit any, then the Home Office don't know that you intended to do. So they just refuse the application. And it may be that you didn't fail to submit it. Maybe you went to the visa center who failed to upload them for you, because you can't check to see what has been uploaded. So we always advise my clients, upload the documents yourself, get your lawyer to upload the documents and accompany the application with a cover letter which lists all the documents you intend to submit. So that even if it's missed, the Home Office can say, oh, I intended to submit that document, and they can ask you to send it to them.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah.
So if you had a magic wand and could change one immigration rule, what would it be?
I think I would change the rules for income threshold for family visas. This was brought in 2012, which has barred a lot of families from being together. More importantly, has disproportionately affected British women who have children and may not be able to work full-time to meet the income threshold, which is currently £29,000. So if you are caring for a young one, it may be difficult for you to bring your spouse because of childcare needs, especially if your kids are small. But if your spouse came, it would mean that you could apply, you could actually work and you could share the responsibilities of being able to look after the family. So it forces single parents to really rely on the government on benefit, which it's ludicrous because if the spouse could come, the spouse could work. So yeah, that's one of the rules I would change.
Wow, awesome. As you can see, there's a sea of questions we can have. And thank you so much for demystifying this whole immigration process. So one piece of advice would be, what's more dangerous, expired milk or an expired visa?
Expired visa is definitely worse. Because
Yes.
it has long-term implications.
Long-term.
At least expired milk is not going to cost so much. It may have indigestion, but for expired visa, it's going to cost you thousands. So yeah, definitely check your visa. Check your mail as well. But
awesome.
check your visa more
Yes.
fast.
So how can people reach you if they have any questions, suggestions, anything they'd want to have clarified? How do we reach you?
We do have we're available on social media. So Cross Border Legal Solicitors. If you Google us, you find us. Our offices are in Leicester, so we can see clients in Leicester. But we have most of our clients virtually. We do virtual meetings with people from using WhatsApp or Teams or Zoom. You can find us on our website, which we put on the link below. Okay. Me also on TikTok. With other experts, not as the other channel TikToks, or we are YouTube channel where we try to raise awareness of the changes which are taking place. And also we are on Facebook. On our Facebook page is Free Immigration Advice by Solicitor, which has been running for over 13 years, where we give, again, we try and share information to our migrant community about what rules are changing. So give us a call as well. You can give me a call on my mobile number, which is 075 44 66 9131. This is also my WhatsApp number, so you can call me from abroad as well. So if you're not able to get a hold of me, just leave a message or leave an inquiry on our website and somebody will get back to you.
Thank you very much for gracing us with your presence, and hopefully we will see you again.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And it's a pleasure to be in your channel.